You know, we are looking to buy a new car. We had a car that died a few months ago. We've just about scraped by the last few months without the car, and now before Pesach, I think, you know what, for Chol Hamoed we'll buy the new car. So my wife looked around and she found a car that was perfect, fit the bill perfectly, somewhere in Walthamstow, like East London, the other side of London, Nowheresville.
In a garage?
In a garage, yes, it was a dealer. Oh, so she called up and it sounded very nice, and it came with a warranty. So she was very interested in buying it. But she said to the man who was, he was a Brazilian guy, he had a Brazilian name, spoke with a South American accent. So she said to him, look, how, with all due respect, I've never met you before. How do I know to trust you? Even if I go and buy it with the warranty, if I bring it home and there's a fault in it, how do I know? Do I have any? I want to have some reassurance. Want to know. So this is what he said to my wife. Yeah, the two of them had never met. He said, Madam, let me explain something to you. He said, my boss is a Jew. I don't know what you think about Jews, but he's a Jew and he's an observant Jew. And let me tell you, his word is his bond. He is so honest, he will never let anything happen that will, impinge on his honesty. So much so that he doesn't even charge interest. When he makes a deal with somebody, he will make sure not to charge any interest, because he went to Israel once, and when he came back from Israel, he told us, we're not going to charge any more interest. Basically, he was telling my wife about his boss. I had no idea that my wife was Jewish, let alone Orthodox. So my wife said, actually, I'm also Jewish. So he was quite surprised. And on that basis, we are in the process of buying the car. That's a side point. But what I'm trying to say, I always talk about Kiddush Hashem, trying to be that's essentially what we're here for. We're here to promote Hashem. We're Hashem's salesman. So it's amazing with Siyata Dishmai that we had this phone call and we saw firsthand somebody who so impressed his salesman, his non-Jewish salesman, that they were promoting. Kalati is not an obvious Jewish name. If we were Goldstein, I would have said, look, maybe it's whatever. He's just trying to sell the car. But Kalati is not an obviously Jewish name at all. So we could have been anybody. We could have been anti-Semitic. But he felt that he had to say that. And it was incredible that, we have this type of thing happening in our day and age. So that is a lovely, positive way to start this shit.
Did you ask his name?
Yes, I've got his name. I don't want to give his name away now, but I've got his name now. And I want to meet him. I'll give him a big hug when I see him. Anyway, so let's talk about Pesach. Pesach is frantic. Everybody is running around in a hurry. Clean this, brush that, get rid of that, tovel this, do Hagala on that. It's so frantic. Everyone's in such a hurry and so busy. In fact, it's amazing that you all turned up here today. I'm delighted, because it means I don't have to speak to myself. If not, it would have just been my son Yoni, who is a Grace Garcia, because he's on school holidays. But it's nice, it's amazing that you took time out from cleaning for Pesach to come and hear a share. It's commendable. But there is such a buzz, and everyone is working overtime. People, go to sleep late, wake up early. What is all this about hurry? And we know that in the Torah, when it describes Yitziat Mitzrayim, when we left Egypt, there's one word that describes this type of frantic, hurrying, overtime, overdrive, And the word is chipazon. Chipazon means, people were really in a hurry and they had to do things very, very quickly. So I heard a nice little idea, because this word chipazon is related, well, not related. There's another word which means doing something very quickly, and it's to do with mitzvot. And that word is zirizut, which translates in English as alacrity. Now, I've only heard the translation alacrity in connection with this word zirizut. You never see this word alacrity outside of the art scroll Gemara, perhaps another couple of Safarim. It's a very, very, it's endemic to this word zirizut. Otherwise, you would never know what the word alacrity would mean. You'd have to have your Collins or your Oxford Dictionary to understand what it means. But it basically means that we make a point when there's a mitzvah to be done, to do it quickly and efficiently, but to do it quickly, not to hang about, not to muck around, not to do other stuff beforehand. You do the mitzvah quickly. Why all this hurry? Why all this rush? Why everything? I'm not saying last minute necessarily, but even if we prepare, there's some women, bless them, that they start preparing for Pesach from Hanukkah already. Yeah, changing over this room and that room, and you can't even breathe in the wrong direction. It really, and bless them, really. It's incredible. Some people, they really take it to such an extreme. So why all this? Everything is rush, quick, do it now. So I heard a beautiful idea only today. It's such a simple idea, but it's so beautiful in its simplicity. And that is because our neshama, the soul that's within every person, is a part of God. It's chelek elokav mima'al. We know that. The soul is not of this earth. It's a part of God, whatever that means. It's our share in the divine. Now, God is hu haya hu haver v'hu yeh. He is, was, and will be, meaning He's beyond time. We are constrained by time. Yeah, we have a past, a present, and a future. God has none of those. He has. It's you can't even describe it, but He's beyond time. Now, logically, if the soul is part of God, then the soul is also beyond time. So therefore, our nishamot are beyond time. They don't have that restraint, that constriction. So when we do a mitzvah quickly, we are bridging the gap. We're showing that time. We don't want time to have any shlita on us. We don't want time to have any control over us. We don't want to be bound by time. Like, in other words, time doesn't rule us. We rule. We want to rule time. We want to make the event as timeless as possible. So, it's like, in effect, we're trying to beat the clock every time. We want to beat because we're in contact. We're in consonance. We're connected inexorably to our neshama. And so we also want to be beyond time. So that's why we do things very quickly. Now, the question that occurred to me when I heard this idea about trying to bridge the time gap is, what about doing mitzvot itself? What about learning Torah? Yeah, so you could turn around and say, well, I want to learn Torah as quickly as possible. I want to just get it over with. So there's a Gemara, and I want to finish it very quickly. It means you can just skip through it. No, but I think the idea behind that is already Torah is beyond time. So there you're sort of, it's timeless. Because the Torah is also connected to Hashem. We say Hashem, His Torah, and His Jewish people are all connected. So presumably Torah is also timeless and beyond time. So when we're connected to Torah, already we've bridged that time gap. That's just an idea that I had, in addition to this idea of being beyond time. But it's just something I've just started thinking about. It's an incredible concept if you think about it. That we want to be as close to the divine as possible, which means we also have to try and work out a way how we can be beyond time. So anyway, just something to bear in mind when you're hurrying and rushing, cleaning for Pesach or whatever. We're trying to, it's our connection to our neshama. We want to beat the clock. We want to bridge that time gap. Just a couple of short pointers about the Haggadah, and then I'm going to intersperse a few stories here and end with a couple of whoppers. I've got a couple of good stories. One of them might be a bit scary, so Yoni, you have to put your hands over your ears, yeah? Or else I'll be up with you all night, trying to lull you to sleep. But, nevertheless, let's carry on. Maybe you might fall asleep. So, we talk about Avadim Hayinu. We were slaves, and Arami Oved Avi, there was an Aramean who tried to destroy our father. That's Lavan. That's when the whole anti-Semitism really kicked off, was Lavan. He was the first dyed-in-the-wool, proper anti-Semite, full-on hatred of Yaakov. There, of course, there are many other famous ones. Amalek and Esav, his grandfather, etc., etc., etc. But really, it started with Lavan. He was a real, he did it par excellence. So the Haggadah is replete with this idea that that there are people who hate us, and Shafoch Malcha Lagoyim, pour your wrath on the nations. So it's all talking about the haters, people who hate us all the time. But at the same time, we have to admit, in 2016, if I can date myself, that for better or for worse, we in the UK, it's certainly not the case in France, but we in the UK and in the USA and many other countries, we live in a Malchut Shel Chesed, in a place where we are entitled to practice our religion without any overt anti-Semitism, at least not from the nothing from the governmental point of view. There are no decrees against us from the government. Yet. I was going to add the word yet. But they say we do live in a Malchut Shel Chesed. So my point is like this. Why do we say year after year after year how bad it was, and pour your wrath on the nations who don't believe in you, etc., when we should be thanking Hashem for the Malchut Shel Chesed, for the good. Okay, it's not perfect, not by any means, but at the same time, there's a lot of religious tolerance. That's the word I was thinking of. There's a lot of religious tolerance, in the USA, in the UK, many other countries in the world. So we do have it good to a certain extent. So I heard a mashal, which goes like this, very simple parable. He said there was a machloket between the sun and the wind. The sun said, I'm more powerful. The wind said, I'm more powerful. So they couldn't get around their argument. They said, look, we'll put it to the test. Let's find somebody and we'll both exert our influence on this person and we'll see who's going to come out on top. So the sun said, okay, Mr. Wind, you go first. So there's a guy walking in the street. He's wearing a coat. And the wind starts to blow and to howl. And as soon as the wind starts blowing, what does a person do when the wind starts blowing? Apart from running indoors, Before he gets indoors, what does he do? He pulls his coat round him and he tries to become as warm as possible. And he's clinging to his coat. So the wind tries his best. No, the man is resolute. He doesn't let the wind affect him. The more the wind blows, the tighter the coat gets. The son said, okay, Mr. Wind, you've had your chance. It's my turn now. Watch this. The sun comes out and it starts getting a bit warmer. And the guy thinks, oh, you know, obviously this didn't take place in England, yeah? So it gets a bit warmer. Certainly not on the day that it's sunny in the UK, yeah? That's the best day of the year, the summer. Anyway, so the guy starts feeling a little bit warm. He starts to schwitz a little bit. And the moment it starts getting a little bit too comfortable for him, takes off the coat, and the son says, aha, you see? I just put a few of my rays on him. A few of the sun's rays, and that's it. The coat goes off, finished. I didn't have to make a khamsan. Khamsan or khamsin? Khamsin. Khamsin. I didn't have to make a heat wave. I just made it a little bit warm. And that's it. Coat gone. So look, where are you, Mr. Wind? And look at me. What's the nimshal? What's the idea here? In case you haven't guessed it already, you know, when the weather is inclement, meaning when the tide is against us, when it's difficult, things don't go our way, you know, I don't have to talk about the troubles we have, not in terms of Malchut Shel Chesed, in terms of anti-Semitism. There's plenty of things around, that that hinder us, and we are persecuted, of course, by radical groups, etc. But what does the Jewish nation do when Hashem steps up the pressure? We cling to Hashem. We pull that coat around us. We pull Hashem near to us. We start davening better. Suddenly the Tehillim books come out en masse. Yeah, there are plenty of people who say Tehillim always. But you see a proliferation of more Tehillim groups, and the women do this par excellence. Yeah, there are women who have Tehillim groups all around the year. Bless them. But, you see there's a lot more religious introspection, and people are called into action. But then, what happens if, there's not so many anti-Semitic attacks? And we do have a Malchut Shel Chesed, where we can practice our religion without any evil decrees, like there used to be in Russia and in Iran. Nobody mentions Iran. I'll mention Iran because I'm Iranian. So many periods in history where it was dark. We don't have that nowadays. So what happens? It's natural for a person to say, you know what? We don't need the Tehillim group now. The problem is over. We don't need to learn as much. And people take off the coat, they loosen up a little bit, and they feel a little bit at ease. So what this part of the Haggadah is telling us is, it doesn't matter how good you have it. It's not a reason to stop taking those measures, because those measures are supposed to be always. Yeah, like I said, the women do it beautifully. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if the whole world loves us, if there could ever be such a time after Mashiach. But certainly now it's hard to see that. But it doesn't matter whether there's problems or no problems. The Tehillim groups carry on. So we need to take that example. We can't stop and take our foot off the gas pedal, but just because things are going rosy. Yeah, we have to have the same fervor, because otherwise, chas v'chalila, Hashem will start getting that wind blowing. And then before we know it, the Tehillim group has started up, and there's more Misha Beirachs, and everything it gets to a furore. So we want to keep that up. Now there are, I remember when I used to live in Israel, Seder, after every Shacharit, they would say at least 3 chapters of Tehillim, 3 kapitlach of Tehillim. It doesn't matter. Well, in Israel you can see because there's something happening every day, lo aleinu. But there are many shuls who kept that up. And it's a very good thing to keep that up, because prevention is better than cure. We should show that we've learned our lesson, and that, okay, so now everything's okay, we don't have to stop the Tehillim, we don't have to stop the extra learning. Let's get that right before Hashem has to show us and has to wave the stick, as it were. Because it's only for us. Yeah, all these, the blowing of the wind is for Israel. Hakol b'shvil Yisrael. And if, God forbid, there's a tragedy in the world, we shouldn't say, oh, it happened to them, it happened in Thailand, it happened in whatever place in the world. It didn't have, we should say that should have been us. That should have been the Jews. But Hashem in His great mercy, of course, we don't want it to happen to anybody. We don't call for disasters, but we always need to point the finger fairly and squarely at ourselves and say, look, this should have been us. What can we do? What can we do to prevent it so Hashem will listen to our tefillot and it will not happen next time? Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, yeah? Because Pesach is all about questions. So, there are 3 things that you have to say, and if you don't say it, you are not yotzeh, you will not fulfill your mitzvah of Pesach. And we all know what we're talking about because we learned it at school. I'll say it for the record. Pesach, matzah, umaror. Okay? They all have their different reasons. I'm going to speak about them a little bit out of order. Pesach is the Korban Pesach, the sacrifice that was given, thousands and thousands of korbanot in the Beit HaMikdash. On Erev Pesach, Kohanim working overtime. Why the Korban Pesach? You know why? Because it commemorates the fact that when we left Egypt, that we had obviously we were commanded by God, but we had the quote unquote chutzpah, yeah, in the eyes of the Egyptians, to take their God with a small g O-D, tie it to the bedpost and tell them to their face, you see this sheep that you have been worshipping up till now? It's going to be shish kebab. Yeah, your God will be lamb curry. Well, not lamb curry. We're going to roast it on a spit. Yeah, the end of your God. And these are the people, we're not talking about just a few happy clappy Egyptians. We're talking about the people who persecuted us, killed us, would do anything to get rid of us, wouldn't turn a blind eye, would use every excuse to do anything against us. And now we turn around to those vicious oppressors, and in their face we taunted them. How could we do such a thing? You know why? First of all, Hashem told us to do it, but what stopped them from just saying, what on earth are you doing? And come taking a knife and killing us. They would have killed us for much less. And we took their God in front of their face, and we told them we were going to do it, and we made them wait 4 days, and they were schwitzing, and they didn't lift a finger. Not one Jew was harmed at that point. How come? Because it was a miracle. Hashem made a miracle. That was the first time the Jews stood up and said, that's it. Yeah, because Hashem was behind us. So we said that we turned around. Can you imagine 210 years of persecution? We turned around and we said, Chalas, no more now. We've got God behind us. We're going to be released. This is what's going to happen. Such an incredible miracle. The maror, the bitter herbs. Why do we have bitter herbs? You know why? In case you haven't guessed already, because we suffered 210 years of slavery and we still got out. We were not left there. We came out en masse as a nation. What? We should have been decimated after 1 year or a few months. They could have just killed us. No, we kept on going, proliferating. How come? So we commemorate that. The maror we suffered so badly, and we're still here. And what about the matzah? Why do we eat matzah? You know why we eat matzah? Now you're expecting a drum roll, a big, fantastic, amazing reason why we have matzah. You know why? Because we didn't have time to get ready, and we threw the dough on our shoulder and we went out. Yeah, because we were not prepared. What? What type of reason is that? You just told me now Pesach is because we finally stood up to the Egyptians. You told me maror is after 210 years of slavery. And now the matzah, which is one of the three components, is because we didn't have time to make lunch when we left. We didn't have time to make supper. We just put a bit of dough on our backs and went. And that's why? What type of reason is that? Doesn't sound like a very compelling reason to me. I want a proper, like a gargantuan chaval al azman answer. I don't want some simple answer like that. What is all this? Question 2. At the end of the day, we know we left Egypt, we put the dough on our back, and it was not ready. Yeah, we were ill prepared. Why were we ill prepared? We knew we were going to leave Egypt. We had advance warning. It's not as if Hashem said, okay, pack your bags, 10 minutes, and we're off. Yeah, it takes 18 minutes to become chametz, right? I think we had a little bit more than 18 minutes. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu was not last minute. We were last minute. Moshe Rabbeinu was not last minute. He told us fair and square, we're going tomorrow. What's all this last minute business? Why didn't we make food? Look, think about it. If we would have really got our act together, we could have made proper, we could have had bread, a proper like French bread. Could have had those long, what they call the long bread that they have in France, the baguettes. Could have had beautiful baguettes. We'll be sitting around at the Seder table, passing around the baguettes. I tell you, it'd be a lot cheaper than the matzahs. We could have had lafa, lovely, beautiful, thick matzah. Okay, Sfardim, we do have thick matzah. Yeah. We could have had jachnun for people who are Yemenite. Can you imagine beautiful, lovely jachnun and malawach, or for us who were half Indian as well, we could have had chapatis. What's all this thin matzah business? Boy, I had to go quickly. We could have had the best. What is going on? So, there is one classic answer that we all know, and that is that it wasn't so much as us rushing to go out, it was Hashem rushing to get us out. Because, as we know, we were on the 49.99 whatever level of Tumah. We were a mashahu, a little tiny bit away from getting to the 50th level of Tumah. If, God forbid, we would have got to that level, that would have been it. End of story. Hashem scooped us up at the Rega Acharon. It's like Lahavdil in these movies. Not that you should see movies, but in the movies, there's somebody who's running through a doorway and the doorway is going down. You never see him get stuck in the door. He always gets through and the door or the gate comes down just as he jumped through it. Yeah, or somebody running to get out of a lift, elevator for the Americans listening to this. Yeah, they're running out the elevator, they just get in before the doors close. So, lahavdil, this is what Hashem did to us. He scooped us out just before that gate closed. Because he was in a hurry to get us out. Because he, of course, as only Hashem knows, that it would have been irreparable damage to the Jews. We would have been no different from the Egyptians. That's it, no more Jewish nation. If there was no more Jewish nation, no more world. The world would not exist. That's the upshot of it. Okay, we all learned this at school. But I saw another answer, beautiful answer, from Rabbi Yisachar Frand. He brings like this. He said, you know, I'm expanding on it a little bit, that the Jews were in Egypt. Now, I'm not sure, I'm just hypothesizing here. Did they know that there was going to be 10 plagues? Did the Jews in Egypt know there were going to be 10 plagues? Let's assume they didn't know. Let's assume that Moses and Aaron went to Paro. They said, let my people go. Paro says, no way, forget it. So they get fair warning. All the water system is going to become blood now. Now, once that had been done, and once Paro had been put in his place, the Jews should have said, oh, wow, they got a plague. Brilliant. Now we can go. And Tucker, that's what happened. Because after plague number 1, the Jews thought they were going to go. They were ready, bags packed. Okay, donkeys ready, everybody? Everyone got their bread? But it didn't happen because Paro recapitulated. He said, no way, sorry. Now the heat was off, the pressure was off. Sorry, I've forgotten what the pain was like. I'm back to normal life now. No way. After the frogs, again, now the Jews are ready. Okay, now we're going to go. Now he's had not 1, 2 plagues he's had. For sure he's going to let us go now. Nobody can take the frogs jumping down their throats, jumping into the ovens, jumping everywhere where they shouldn't be. Of course, now we're going to go. No. And plague number 3, 4, by the time they got to the end, Makat Bechorot, now they're thinking, come on, how many times can we go for our bags and get the camels and the horses ready? And nothing's happening. So it's like, okay, now we're going to go. So the Jewish people, Kilo said, pull the other one. 9 times we thought we were going to go. Nothing. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to go. Yeah, right, we're going to go. Don't worry, guys. No need for any bread. It's fine, don't worry. But then, Tucker, they really were going. So now they were caught out. Now they didn't have, you know why? Because they felt hopelessness. Because they thought, 9 times we've been let down. We thought we were going to go. This is never going to happen. And if you think about it, it's a natural reaction. If you were disappointed 9 times, yeah, and this is not over a period of a couple of weeks. We're talking the best part of a year by this point. If I'm not mistaken, it was a week for the plague and 3 weeks of nothingness. And then the next, it's like a month. Each plague was a month.
Wasn't it 2 weeks, no? 2 weeks per actual plague?
2 weeks per plague? I'm not sure. I thought it was 1 week. I don't know. I stand corrected by Yoni. If you know any different, write me an email, rabbikalati@gmail.com. Be happy to hear who's right, me or Yoni, or maybe neither of us. But anyway, I heard that it was 1 week on, 3 weeks off. Again, I could be mistaken. I stand corrected. So it was the best part of a year now. So what on earth is going on? Are we going or are we not going? So you can see from their point of view, they really were not like, you know, they didn't believe it was going to happen. But that's the whole issue. Because they had this feeling of helplessness, of hopelessness. It's never going to happen. They were in a sort of like a lull. You know, they didn't expect they were going to go then. Despite everything that happened, they didn't expect it. Why? Because that's it. It's like a chazakah. It's like it didn't happen now. Why should it didn't happen then? Why should it happen now? But that's not how a Jew is supposed to live. A Jew is supposed to expect the unexpected. If the unexpected happens, right, we're not supposed to turn around and say, oh, Animit Paleh, I'm so surprised, unbelievable, Mashiach is coming. Wow, I never thought that would happen. Excuse me, who said it was never going to happen? We say it every day. We talk about Mitzapim Neshua every day. So now it happens. Oh, I didn't think that was going to happen. So what were your tefillot like? If you're saying something and you didn't believe it's going to happen, is it like a fairy tale to you? Is it like some nebulous truth. It might happen, it might happen. Do you really believe that Mashiach is going to come or not? And more importantly, do you believe that you're going to bring Mashiach? Because nobody else is going to bring Mashiach. It's up to us to bring Mashiach. It's in our hands. It's got to happen. And don't think, it's not going to come from me. Only from very, very from Gedolei Hador. That's who it's going to come from. Excuse me, big mistake. First of all, let me correct that fallacy in one shot. They say the Geula comes from the women. That first and foremost, that we have to know that. Because the Geula from Egypt was in the zchut of the women. The Geula from our present Galut is going to happen because of the women. Yeah? It's not from the massive Talmid Chachamim. Everyone's got their part to play. But it's the women. They're going to be engineering. It's through their conviction that it's going to happen. So a woman, she's reading a Tehillim in her Tehillim group. She's going to bring Mashiach. And it's up to us to bring Mashiach as well. Yeah, we've all got our part to play. But don't say, oh, it's not me. What, me? How can I bring Mashiach? What's it got to do with me? Let me tell you, without you, it ain't going to happen. You cannot be off the map. You cannot be off the radar. Because we need everybody. And more importantly, Hashem needs us all to be together. So of course we're going to bring Mashiach. Of course it's going to happen. But don't take it that it's some like abstract idea that we talk about it. We have songs, Mashiach, and all this. It's very nice, and we like to dance at weddings to that song, and even the most non-observant people dance that song. It's all very nice, but what's it got to do with me? That's really at the crux of it. What's it got to do with me? It has everything to do with you. Don't underestimate it. Don't think I end off my share with asking for the Geula for nothing. I sound like a broken record. I do it practically every share I ask for Mashiach. I don't want to be at risk of sounding like a broken record, but I have to. I just think of my name and I think of Melech HaMashiach. It's never far from me. I've got the best reminder. But we all have to be reminded about it. That's really what it is. So expect the unexpected. Hopelessness should never interfere with our resolve. A person who has yeush, who has despair, that's not a Jewish idea. You can have despair about a lost object. You lose a watch after 2 years. Okay, that you despair. But not in what Hashem promised us. Hashem promised us, it's gonna happen. Make no mistake, it's gonna happen. Hashem said it, that's it. It's just a matter of when. So do not be surprised. It could happen even before I finish the shir. You never know. I'm not ruling it out. So, I'll tell you another point. Now that we're on the subject of expecting the unexpected. You know, we have this thing, we fill up the kos shel Eliyahu, the cup of Elijah, on the table, we fill it with wine year after year. And what happens? He never drinks it. Yeah, I don't know about you. I have never seen, I'd love to. Don't get me wrong, I would love to. I've never seen Eliyahu Navi come in, drink that cup and go, shkoyach, and go out the door. Never. It's never, not to my knowledge. I don't, maybe for you, if you have, write me an email, I want to hear about it. But it hasn't happened to me. And you know, my wife was brought up Ashkenazi. Yeah, when she married me, it all changed. We had to, she started eating rice on Pesach. She became a fully fledged Sephardi. But she was brought up Ashkenazi. And some of her minhagim we've taken on. One of her minhagim is that they take the cup and the kids start pushing it, yeah? So they spill, a little bit spills over. And the kids are saying, oh, look, Eliyahu Navi's come, he's drinking, yeah? And we make a big joke out of it. Now, I look at that and until today, believe me, until today, I just think, this is a bit of a straight, it's like just for the kids, this minhag. There's nothing in it. It's just like a little, keep the kids awake. You know what? Based on what I've just said, there is a strong source for that minhag. Because this is not just some joke. We pour every Seder, we pour that cup and we fill that cup. We should by all rights say, look, 2,000 years we're in Galut. Where is he? Every year we pour the cup, every year it goes to waste. Where is he? No, says Hashem, fill it every year, because this year he might come. And don't think that he's not going to walk through that door. Do not think. There have been stories where Eliyahu Navi, there was a famous story with, I can't remember now, it was in Italy, in Livorno. There was a story of, was it Rav Yehuda, I can't remember his name, that he had Gilui Eliyahu. Eliyahu came to his Seder. I'm sure there's other stories. But us, as simple Jews, we can feel despair. It's natural for us to feel despair. No, we should not. We should tip that cup and just think, what if? It's not an impossibility. He might come and drink it. And we fling open the door every year. Because, yes, this might be the year. So we never, ever want to forget that. It's not an impossibility. So what if he hasn't come for 2,000 years? This might be the time. Just like in Egypt, we got it wrong. We thought it was going to happen and then we gave up. We cannot give up now. We cannot give up now. So we have to expect the unexpected. Now, let me tell you a little, like a humorous story that I read. I tell it very briefly. I don't want to run out of time before I get to the scary stories. Yeah, Yoni? Okay. So there was a group of people, very poor people, who they were all Jewish except for one person. And it was coming up to Pesach. And they all, they subsisted on a meager existence, all these poor people in the soup kitchen. And these Jews, they started thinking, you know what, it's coming up to Pesach. Everybody eats well on Pesach. All we got to do is get invited to a Seder and we'll eat like kings. Fine, very good. They turn around and they see there's non-Jew with them and thinking, oy vey, what are we going to do with him? We can't leave him behind. But he's not Jewish. He's going to turn up there, he won't know what's flying. So they said to him, look, we want to bring you with us. But the problem is Pesach, it's very difficult to explain in a nutshell what Pesach is. But suffice to say, first of all, you need to put a skull cap on your head. Then when you come with us, we recommend, in fact, we insist that you make out as if you're dumb. You can't speak. You haven't got, you're not dumb as in stupid, dumb as in you cannot speak. So you just sit there. Whatever the host does, follow him. Just sit there. Don't open your mouth. Nobody will be any the wiser. And you will have a meal. I tell you, you're not going to, you won't know what hit you. Fine. So the guy says, okay, no problem. So all the Jews get invited to one Seder. And here's this Gentile with a couple plonked on his head. And he's sitting there. And everyone's introducing themselves. And they say, oh, here's our friend, oh, Chris. Oh, no, he's Chaim rather. But you know what? Don't expect much from him because he can't speak. He can't talk. Everyone's going, oh, wow. Okay, don't worry. It's okay. It's fine. We'll be okay. So they're sitting there. They're having the Seder. What happens? They make the Kiddush. Okay, so the non-Jewish guy sitting there is thinking, wow, they're starting with wine. Amazing. Great aperitif. So he gets one glass of wine. He thinks, okay, so this is a good start. Next thing, urchatz. Now he sees the balabait washing his hands. He's thinking, okay, he's washing his hands. What? So now we're getting ready. He's washing his hands. He's going to cut the turkey. I'm going to have a big meal like Thanksgiving. It's going to be amazing. So he washes his hands. Karpas. They bring out a vegetable. He's thinking now, okay, right, they're starting with salad, yeah? They give him one tiny, measly bit of this celery. Yeah? He's thinking, what is this? An insult? So, before he can eat it, he's going to dip it in some water. So what is all this nonsense? But he thinks, you know what, whatever. Then, yachat. So now they come out with a matzah. And you think, now I know what's happening now. Now he started with the bread. He's bringing out this big cracker. And we're all going to get like loads of this stuff. And then the chicken's going to go on the turkey. And it's going to be amazing. What do? He takes these 3 matzot. He breaks the middle one and puts it away. Nobody eats nothing. Right? Now, you know what's coming next? Magid. Now he thinks, okay, now we're going to eat. No, he's got Magid. They go through the whole Haggadah Magid, top to bottom, explanations. The kids are talking and questions and answers. And he's thinking, what? You're talking for 7 hours? What's going on? What's that? But he can't talk because he's pretending he's dumb. And what is happening? He's going crazy. Then, after Magid, right, they're going through, and then slowly they're having that. He has a bit of matzah, gazat of matzah. He thinks, I've got something. And then what's happening? He has this strange sandwich with this stuff that looks like cement. What's going on? He's going crazy. By this time, he's had all these little tasters. And he's had his maror, what is this bitter stuff? I've got it a bit out of order, but... So now this guy, at this point, he's fuming. And he gets up and he goes, stop this! He throws his skull cup up. People are like, what? He can talk. And he runs out. Why am I telling you this story? Because... This is not how you should conduct your Seder, by the way. Because, you know, this guy... Obviously, he's not Jew. He doesn't know what a Seder is. Yeah? Nobody briefed him properly. But he's sitting there, and all he had to do was wait for 2 more minutes. And he would have got to Shulchan Aruch. But all he saw was, there's a lettuce, there's dipping this bit, there's bitter herbs, there's a tiny bit of matzah. What is all this? Get to the main course. And before he knows it, he's kicked the table, he's out of there. Tipesh, wait for 2 minutes. It doesn't make sense to you? That's what you do. And this really is the story of this life, of this world machine that we're in. Because it's not all plain sailing. And you know, I talked about this, I remember I talked about this at my niece's wedding, and I think I talked about it on one of my shiurim, that this is the story of the Geulah, because when we left Egypt, we should have basically, or maybe this is what we thought, that we would leave Egypt, gone to Israel, you know, got the Torah, and that's it, all been from yeshivas, schools, you know, everything okay, we would have set up, we would all be eating like kings and agriculture, brilliant, fantastic. No. Halavai wouldn't be easy like that. Because we left, and then we thought we'd got away, the bad guys are chasing us, okay, so we'll run away from the bad guys. Oh, no way. Now we've got this Yam Suf in the way. What are we going to do with the Yam Suf? Oh, what are we going to do now? So now we're on a low. We're on a high when we left, now we're on a low again. Then Hashem splits the sea. Oh, big high, fantastic. We're going through lots of fruits and vegetables from the walls we're pulling. The floor is glass, beautiful aroma. Nobody's slipping and sliding on any mud. It's beautiful, fantastic. Hang on. What's over our shoulder? The Egyptians are running after us. Oy vey. Now we're on a downer again. Oh, then we get out and Hashem throws the sea on the Egyptians. Brilliant, fantastic. Even better. Now we've got all the booty, all the jewels and everything. They came at the sea. Now we're rich. Fantastic. Now what happens? Oh, no water. Not again. What's happening? Up, down, up, down, up, down. We can't get it right. Nothing's happening right for us. Okay, then we get the water, then no food. Hashem gives us the quail. It's never a dull moment. But that's life. You know, you can't just give up on life. That Gentile gave up at the Seder. But that's not what we're about. Things can happen that we don't know. They come from left field. We can't just give up on it. We can't just say, feel this sense of low self-worth, but just because nothing's going our way. That's not how it happens, because we have to wait till it plays out. Because it will play out our way. It will play out our way. And you know what? On a deeper level, it's always playing out our way. And we're going to see this in the last couple of stories that really... Well, I'm going to tell you one last point. I'm going to get onto these stories. One last point. Yachatz. Yeah, the bit where we take that matzah. The Gentile was going crazy when he saw this. He thought he was going to get a good meal. So we take the middle matzah, we break it in two, we take one part of it, and we hide it away for the afikomen. Yeah, ready for the kids to start their whole bargaining deal. Yeah, we want a bike. Halavai should be only a bike. Nowadays, I want an iPhone, I want an iPad, I want a PSP, SPSP, whatever it is. So it used to be, you know, similar. I want a Monopoly set or whatever. I want Trivial Pursuit. Oy vey. It gets more expensive every year. So, but we hide it away for them. Bless our Jewish children, by the way. Don't think I'm not saying anything bad about them. So we hide it away for the afikomen. So what is all this? You know something? That afikomen has another name in the Seder. We have Kadesh, Urchatz, Karpas, there's no siman called afikomen. What's it called? Yoni, what's it called? Just before Barech. Tzafon. Tzafon, that's what we call it. That's when we have the afikomen. What does tzafon mean? Hidden. Yeah? You know, when we came out of Egypt, there was something called Baal Tzafon, a big, massive, industrial-sized idol in the middle of the desert. And Paro was so happy. He said, oh, Baal Tzafon, that's my idol. Baal Tzafon means Lord of the hidden. Tzafon also means north, but Tzafon means hidden. Like Tzofnat Paneach, rather. Tzofnat Paneach was the Egyptian name that Paro gave to Yosef, because he was the revealer of hidden secrets. So Tzafon means hidden. So we hide away that afikomen. You know why? Because certain things seem like they're broken and shattered, and like the idea is hidden to us. Why do things break? Why do things fall apart? Nothing stays the same. Nothing is on an even keel. Life will throw stuff at us that's incomprehensible. We thought we were okay. Oh, but suddenly Hashem does this. And why does Hashem do that? Why do I have to suffer? Why do things break up? You know why? Because it's hidden from us. We don't know the reason, but we always say, oh, it's terrible. It's bad. No, it's not terrible. It's just hidden. We do not know the reason. And I'll tell you an even deeper secret. Where does the tzafon come from? It comes from the same piece, the whole piece. It comes from the whole piece that's part of the three matzot. That piece is what we eat with the piece that's that we keep. We eat with the other matzot. That's reminiscent of the Geulah. So the bad and the good come from the same place. That's what we have to bear in mind. It's not good and bad, it's good and hidden. Just because we don't know the reason behind it, we automatically think Hashem hates us. God forbid we should ever think such a thing. Things are hard, and that nobody says things are easy to deal with. We know things are difficult to deal with. But to point the finger at Hashem, why are you doing this to me? That's not how it's supposed to play out. That's not what it's all about. It's about hidden. It's about incomprehensible. We deal with the incomprehensible because we're not privy to the truth. And don't get me wrong, we would be cruel if we were just to say, everything's for the best. You know, this person died, it's all for the best. We should never think that way. We have to deal with tragedy how we deal with tragedy. We cry. We hurt. We're not stones. But to point the finger at Hashem, that we don't do. That we must never do. However hard it is, we never do. Of course we feel pain. We have to feel pain. We will be totally insensitive if we do not feel pain. And anyone who says to somebody who's really in pain and tell him, oh, you know, it's all for the best. Or the other one, oh, Hashem doesn't give you a test if he knows you can't deal with it. He knows you can deal with it, that's why he's giving you the test. That's okay to tell somebody that when he's not in pain. When he's in pain, don't tell him that. Because that's not going to help him. That just shows him that, I don't know what it shows him. It won't help him. You know, when someone is in pain, the best thing to do, let him cry. Let him cry. Get it out. Get it out. Because, you know, it's just occurred to me now, crying is not just like the soul's antiseptic to make us feel better, wash away our pain. It's not just that. Crying is one of the, I think it's 9 forms of prayer. One of them is bechiyah, crying. You know, when you cry, you pray, you connect to Hashem. People think praying is just opening a siddur and saying the Amidah. Of course, that's prayer. Prayer can also mean crying. Prayer can mean if you're in the middle of the park and you get a boo-boo and you turn around and say, "Ay, Hashem, I'm in pain." That's also prayer. Never forget that. Crying is a form of prayer. It's one of the, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's nine types of prayer. Bechiyah. And you know something? I'll tell you something even better. There's only one gate of prayer that's open now, and that's the Sha'arei Demut, the gates of tears. That the Gemara says that. It's the only gate of prayer that is open. You cry, your prayer will get through. How come it has a gate? Why isn't it? You have to have a gate on something to lock something. It should be open. There should be no gate there. I think the Kotzker Rebbe brings this question. He says, you know what it means? It means that those gates do close sometimes. Why? Because when those tears are not sincere. If your tears are crocodile tears, those tears won't get through. They have to be honest tears. You're crying because you're in pain, or somebody else is in pain, you're crying for them. Those tears will get through. Doesn't matter if you see the answer in your lifetime or not, they will definitely get through. Every prayer gets heard by Hashem. Every prayer. There's no such thing as a prayer that goes to waste. But anyway, okay. So we have to understand the bad is also really good. It comes from the same matzah when we break off. It comes from the same place. It's not a separate entity. So I'll tell you, I don't know how much time I've got. Okay, so I might have to tell you just the one story now instead of the 2 stories. I pick one. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Maybe the less scary one because Johnny's here. Okay, so I'll tell you like this. We're talking about hidden. We're talking about expecting the unexpected. Here's a story, a true story from the Rav of Premishlan. The Premishlan Rav was a Hasidic Rebbe. And this is a story that happened to him when he was a guest at the house of one of his Hasidim. He had a Hasid who was very, very rich. And he invited over the Rebbe and he gave him like a whole floor. Like, you know, ensuite, I don't know about ensuite, bathroom, but like a really opulent house he had. And he gave a special part of the house just for the Rebbe. Fine. The Rebbe, I guarantee, was not interested in all this Olam Hazeh. For him, it was just the bed or just a place to sleep, v'zehu. Yeah? It didn't matter if he was here or there. He was not on this world. So he was in the house and the Chassid, his student, his Chassid, was a very like a dutiful person. He wanted to serve his Rebbe. So he said to the Rebbe, he said, Rebbe, is there anything I can do for you? Can I help you in some way? Do you need anything? So the Rebbe turned around to him and he said, actually, yes, there is something you can do for me. So notice that you have a lot of green belt around your house, and I saw within your acres and acres of land that you have horses and you have cows and sheep or whatever. I would like you to give me one of your horses. So the Chassid said, of course, Rebbe, no problem. I have many horses. I'll give you a horse. Come, let's go and pick a horse. So the Rebbe goes to the stable and he said, yeah, I know the horse that I want. It's that horse over there, that black horse over there. So now when the Chassid saw which horse the Rebbe was pointing to, he said, Rebbe, are you sure you want that horse? He said, yes, I would like that horse. That's the one I want. He said, but Rebbe, look, what about this one over here? This one, it's much faster. He said, no. I want that one. If I can't have that one, I don't want any horse. I'm not interested in any other horse. I want that one. So the Chassid said, look, Rebbe, I'll be honest with you. That is my top horse. I don't know how you picked it, but it's the horse. It works 10 times harder than any horse in my stable. I would love for the Rebbe to have a horse, but this one, you have to have it. It can be very difficult for me to let this one go. The Rebbe thought, he said, okay, you know what? If I can't have this horse, I don't want any horse. Let me ask you for something else. The Rebbe thought for a minute and he said, okay. Do you have any, in Hebrew they're called shtarei chov. Yeah, a shtar chov is a promissory note. It means a note that says, I owe the bearer of this note so-and-so. Let's say if a person is owed a debt of money, sometimes the person can't pay. So what do? They give him like a note that says, I owe so-and-so amount of money. And then the person keeps it, and as time goes on, maybe straight away, maybe a little bit of time passes, then the person pays back the owner of the note. Yeah, it's like a check, as it were. It's the same thing as a check. Yeah, I'll give you a check, and you can bank it with me. So basically, the Rebbe said to his Chassid, do you have a shtar chov that I could have? Do you have a note that somebody owes you money that I could have? So in other words, somebody owes you money, and if I have the note, now he owes me the money. So the Chassid said, Rebbe, of course. And he goes and he brings a box full of shtarei chov, full of these promissory notes. Each one, I owe 10,000 rubles, I owe 5,000 rubles, whatever it is. And the Rebbe says, do you mind if I pick one myself? And the fellow says, of course, Rebbe, please pick. So he's going through the notes, and he says, no, not that one, not that one. There's 10,000. You know, the Chassid is thinking, what's his logic? Which one? You know, he's going through all the ones, the huge ones. He's putting them to one side. He's not going there, and he picks up one. Says, "This is the one I want. Can I have this one?" So the Chassid said, Rebbe, do you know who this note is from? This is from somebody who died already. He owed me money. He died, and I went to his sons and I said, your father owes me money. And they just don't believe me. Maybe they think I faked the note. They said, no, our father paid all his debts. He doesn't owe you any money. So I just left it there. I've got no hope of recovering this money. You want to take this? Rebbe, you're not going to get the money from him in a million years. Rebbe says, be that as it may, I want that one. So the Chassid says, look, the Rebbe wants, the Rebbe gets. So he says, Rebbe, take it as a gift. Here, now the debt is no longer owed to me, it's now owed to you. The Rebbe made a kinyan. He made a acquisition to make sure that legally now the debt was no longer owed to the Chassid, it was now owed to the Rebbe. And he did it all legally. The Rebbe says, right, now the money is owed to me, no longer to you. He points at the Chassid. The Chassid said, of course, Rebbe, that's it, we've done it all legally. The Rebbe said, okay, fine. He takes the note, he rips it up. He says, I'm cancelling this debt. It's owed to me, I'm being mevater, I'm foregoing this debt. This debt is no longer, the family does no longer owe me the money. Okay, so now the Chassid is really thinking, what on earth is going on? He doesn't say anything. 5 minutes later, one of the stable hands, people who are looking after the horses, runs in to the Chassid and he says, oh, you're not going to believe what happened. The Chassid said, well, what are you talking about? What's the matter? What's the urgency? So the stable hand says, the black horse has just died. So now the Chassid says, oy vey. He thinks to himself, this is because it's a punishment from Shamayim, because I didn't give the horse to the Rebbe, now I'm not going to have any benefit from the horse. The horse is finished, oy. So he turns around to the Rebbe, he says, Rebbe, now I know I've been so silly. How could I have done such a thing? Please forgive me, Rebbe, I should have given you the horse. The Rebbe says, it's okay, don't worry. Don't beat yourself up about it. Let me tell you exactly what has happened here. The Rebbe says like this, and only the Rebbe could know such a thing, because the Rebbe for sure must have been a Baal Ruach HaKodesh. He said, let me tell you exactly what's happened here. He said, you know that fellow who owed you the money, who died, whose note that he owed you the money I just ripped up? He said, that fellow, when he died, he went to Shamayim and they wouldn't forgive him. They said, look, you owed somebody money, you didn't pay it back. But you have to pay it back. You can't just leave the world and not pay it back. So you know what happened to him? They told him, you have to come down in a Gilgul, in a reincarnation, but not as a human being, as a horse. And you will have to work for this fellow until you give him the value of your worth, and your work that you will do will offset the money that you owed him, and that will be your tikkun. So what is he? Comes back in this world as a horse. Now it's not pleasant coming down, God forbid, having to come down as an animal. Now he comes down, his Gilgul is a black horse. He ends up in this Chassid's stable. And now, what is he doing? He's not working like the other horses. He's working so hard because he wants to get out of this world, wants to pay off his debt. So he's working 10 times as hard as all the other horses so that he can finish the job and leave, go to Gan Eden already. So now what happened? The Rebbe said, I knew this. Because when I saw this horse, I knew this. If you would have given me the horse, he would have finished, that would have been it, the job would have been done. So now I had to find the note of the money that fellow owed you. And when you gave it to me legally and I ripped it up, now the horse had finished. He had nothing else to give and he died. Straight away, he died. It's a true story. It shows you, first of all, this unbelievable story, first of all shows you that you've got to be very careful with owing people money. It's not a simple thing. You owe somebody money, you owe somebody money. That's it. You can't. If a worker works for you, you need to pay him back that day. There's many halachot about this. You have to be very careful. Now, of course, some people might not be able to owe money. Then you have to make an arrangement. But just to leave it, that's not an option. But you see here that who would have ever imagined such a thing could happen? Who would have expected such a thing? But you know, life is about expecting the unexpected. And that's what Mashiach is all about. Because woe betide any person who's going to turn around and say, it's not really going to happen. It's like a bit of a fairy tale. We talk about it, but now he's going to come now? Never think that. Your life should be geared towards expecting the unexpected. We have to wait every day. I'm waiting. It doesn't matter how unlikely it is. It doesn't matter if we do it for 2,000 years. We're waiting for Eliyahu Navi to come to our Seder table and he doesn't come. That doesn't matter. That's just odds. If it's going to happen, Hashem says it's going to happen, it will happen. Bezrat Hashem, this year we will see Eliyahu Navi at our Seder table, and he won't be by himself. He'll be bringing Mashiach Tzidkenu Bezrat Hashem without any pain, and it should happen in this year. V'chein yasam v'amar amen. Chag kasher v'sameach. Have a wonderful Seder, and next year we'll be celebrating Bezrat Hashem in Rosh Hashanah Yom HaKodesh.